for the past 6 or 7 weeks as I've been practicing, this has been going on.
It's not as distracting as you might think it would be. So it's day 2, and it is the first day that I'm going to dive into my program that I wrote yesterday. Right out of the gate, one of the first problems I have encountered is my mute bag with my Dennis Wick straight mute that I want to use is in my car, which my wife has taken to pick up our kids from school. So I'm going to use this Marcus Bonus straight here. No big deal. Adapt and survive. So it looks like I'm just not centering these notes very well. So what I'm gonna do is, before I do my next repetition, I'm just gonna slur through everything nice and slowly to make sure I am hearing where these pitches are and that I'm playing in the center of the pitch. Okay, so that hopefully will help give me a sense of where some of these notes are. So that's the experimentation part, right? I'm deciding, okay, I'm not centering notes, and so I'm gonna use a technique of slurring everything to try to hear the notes more centered and to feel the notes more centered. And then I'm going to now move the metronome up to 62 beats per minute, record my next repetition, listen back to see if there's any improvement. Okay, so that was definitely better, more improved on the things that I wanted to improve upon, but it's still not to the level that I want it. So I'm going to just isolate a few of these measures where things weren't still quite centered, or I actually missed that bigger leap. I'm just gonna isolate those sections, again slurred, and then moving into sort of more of a legato tongue, and hopefully that will help. Okay, so now that we've done that, the next thing I'm gonna do is my last repetition. I'm gonna record it, I'm gonna listen back, and then what we'll have is 3 different repetitions that were recorded so we can hear the progress that we've made, which is pretty motivating for me, and at least keeping me at bay in these early stages of not getting too frustrated when I can or can't do something. And so even though that repetition had mistakes in it, I don't really care. I know that over the course of continuing to come back to this over and over at slower tempos, I'm gonna figure it out. And once I figure it out, then I just need to do it that way every single time. So I'm done with that section for this piece. I'm just gonna do that for the next section and the section after that, and then I'm done. Gosh, it is hot in here under that light right there. Oh. One more repetition. So I just finished day one of the program, and I would say it went pretty well. It wasn't perfect, but perfect is not my standard, especially this early into the process. This first part of preparation, when you're really early on and you're kind of digging through and going through things slowly, is what I call the acclimation phase. And all I'm really concerned with is, do I understand how to play the entire piece by the end of the phase? So it's not important to me this early on to be able to play anything at performance tempo. Rather, I want to make sure I have musical context for everything through all the score study I might be doing, and then also an actual production sort of model in terms of what's in my head for how I'm going to produce those sounds or those musical phrases. My practice session today only took about 15 minutes, which may not seem like a long time, but really all I did was record a repetition, listen, try to fix a few things, record the next repetition, listen, try to fix a few things, record the third repetition, and that's it. I'll come back to it in a couple of days and we'll do that whole process again, and what I'm looking to do is build a complete mental representation of this piece over the course of a number of weeks, not as soon as possible. One of the concepts I'm really trying to embrace through this prep is to not just try to learn it as quickly as possible and just sort of get by, but rather dive as deep as I can and figure out what is the very best I can do with this piece of music. Trying to learn music in a way that's likened to cramming for a test or something like that, it can work. You can learn something and reproduce it, but it doesn't lead to the deepest learning possible. The science that I've seen about neuroplasticity would say that when we are sleeping, that is when our brain is strengthening certain connections that we want, weakening others that we don't want, and that's when our brain is actually changing. And so just trying to cram from a basic standpoint, you miss out on all of these opportunities to sleep and let the hard work that you've done sink into a deeper level. So I think for me, that's one of the things that has really encouraged me to start earlier than I normally would, is even if I'm not sure of what's going on, I know that sleeping over and over and over again, plus just having more time to work with it, is probably going to lead to the best outcome I can have. It seems worse now than it was. It might just be raining a little bit here.